students, and welcome in the online session of class 9th Science, chapter 6 Tissues. Students, till now we have completed the topic plant tissues, in which we have completed meristematic tissues and permanent tissues. Now today we are going to start about the animal tissues, the types of animal tissues, and specifically we will do two animal tissues today, that is epithelial tissue and the muscular tissue. So let's first begin with understanding what are animal tissues. Like plants, animals are also made up of tissues, and those tissues have some specific functions to perform in the body of the animals. Because animals are also living, so they are made up of cells, and groups of cells then make the tissues. And because animals are multicellular in nature, so the tissues have some specific function to do, that is, division of labor is present. Okay, for example, muscle cells present in our body, they have the function of movement. They help in the movement of the organism. So how that movement is possible? Now, this is possible because of the contraction and relaxation of the muscle cells. Muscle cells contract and relax. In this way, they show movement. Now, blood which is present in our body as a circulatory system is also a type of tissue. So, these all tissues we have to study in the topic animal tissues. Now, let's see the classification of animal tissues. Now, animal tissues are classified into four main types. As you can see here, the first type is epithelial tissue. Second one is the muscular tissue, then connective tissue, and the fourth one is nervous tissue. So all these four animal tissues we have to study. Now today in this session we will study only about epithelial tissue and muscular tissue. Now let's see further classification of epithelial tissues. Now epithelial tissues are further divided into five main types: squamous epithelial tissues, then cuboidal epithelial tissues, columnar epithelial tissues, ciliated epithelial tissues, and glandular epithelial tissues. So these five types we have to study now. And in muscular tissues, we have three different types of muscle tissues. One is striated muscles, then other is non-striated muscles, and the third type is cardiac muscles. So this much we will cover today in the topic. Now connective tissues and nervous tissues we will do in the next video. So let's start with the epithelial tissue, which is the first classification of the animal tissue. Now students, this epithelial tissue is the simplest kind of animal tissue. Simplest form of animal tissue is the epithelial tissue, and its main function is protection. Epithelial tissues are meant for protecting the body of the animal. Now, this epithelial tissue consists of one or more layers. So, these tissues, these cells can be present in one layer, or they can be present in many layers. Now, let us find out where they are present. Now, they are present in the skin. Okay, so the skin of our body has epithelial tissue, is made up of epithelial tissue. Then epithelial tissues can be seen in the mouth, in the lining of alimentary canal, lungs, etc. Now, these cells are closely packed. As you can see here, the diagrams given on the slide, they all are the different types of epithelial tissues. Now you can see that all of these epithelial tissues, they are very closely packed to each other. There is no, or there is very less intercellular space present between them. Okay, so they are the epithelial tissues. So first one is simple squamous, then cuboidal, then columnar, then stratified squamous. Okay, so these are some of the types which you have to study. Okay, so what we have learned about epithelial tissue is that it is the simplest form of tissue. Then the this main function of this epithelial tissue is to provide protection. It is basically present in the skin, mouth, lungs, alimentary canal, etc. And these cells of this tissue, they are very closely packed. There is very little or no intercellular space present between them. Now let's move on to the different types of epithelial tissues. So these are the five main types which we have to study First one is the squamous epithelium, then next is cuboidal epithelium, then columnar epithelium, ciliated epithelium, and glandular epithelium. So these five are the types of epithelial tissues. Now, these names are given according to the shapes of the cells present in this tissue. Now, let us first do the functions of epithelial tissues. So, first function is very clear that it protects our skin as it is present in the skin. So, first function is protection from injury, entry of the germs. Now germs cannot enter through our skin because these cells, these tissues, they do not allow the germs to enter inside. So they protect our body from germs also and from harmful chemicals also. Fine. Then next is epithelial lining of intestine absorb water and digested food. Okay, as we all know that food is digested and absorbed in the small intestine. So, small intestine's wall is made up of epithelial cells. So, these epithelial cells also have the function of absorption, absorption of the digested food and absorption of water also. Now, third is it helps in elimination of waste products. Like on our skin, we have sweat glands, oil glands. Now, sweat glands they secrete sweat. Now, sweat is a waste product in our body. So, we can say that these epithelial tissues they also help in elimination of the waste products. Then fourth one is they give rise to glands and provide valuable secretions, right? Means these epithelial tissues they have some special cells also which secrete some substances. Like sweat gland will secrete sweat, oil glands also are present and those oil glands will secrete oil. Okay, some of us have oily skin, some of us have dry skins. So from where that oil is coming? So that oil is secreted by the oil glands which are present on the skin. So sometimes this epithelial tissue has the function of secretions also, right? So first function you can write protection, second absorption, third elimination of the waste, and then fourth one is secretions. They can secrete some important substances also. Okay. So these are the four functions. Now we will start with the types of the epithelial tissue. So the first type is squamous epithelium. Now, this squamous epithelium consists of thin, flat cells which fit together closely. Okay, so they consist of very thin. Now, this is the diagram. You can see here that the cells are very thin, they are flat cells, and they are very tightly packed together. So, such type of epithelial tissues are called the squamous epithelium tissue. And you can see here they are one layer only, one layered cells. Fine. So, they are called squamous epithelium. Okay, and for example where they are present in the lining of esophagus. Esophagus is our food pipe, so they are present in the walls of the esophagus and in the walls of the mouth also, because you can see the skin of the mouth is also very very thin. Fine, so they are single layered and cells are very tightly packed and very thin and flat cells. So such type are called squamous epithelium tissues. Now, the next is stratified squamous epithelium. Stratified means layers. Okay. When squamous epithelium tissues are present in layers, this is one layer. But if they are present in more layers, then it becomes stratified squamous epithelium. Fine. Now, squamous epithelial cells, when arranged in layers, they are called stratified squamous epithelium. Okay, if there is a single layer, then it is called squamous epithelium. If these cells are present in many layers, then it becomes stratified squamous epithelium. Fine. So diagram you can see here, these layers are present of squamous cells, flat cells, but they are present in layers. So it becomes stratified squamous epithelium. Now, the next is, now let's see where they are present. So, stratified squamous epithelium and squamous epithelium. So, squamous can be called as simple squamous epithelium and stratified squamous epithelium. Now, simple single layered squamous epithelium, they lines the blood vessels. Means where they are found? They are present in the walls of the blood vessels, arteries, veins, capillaries. Okay. Then they are present in the coelom. Coelom means body cavity, then urinary tubules, okay, in the kidneys, then in the alveoli of the lungs. Alveoli is the place where the gaseous exchange takes place, and the walls of the alveoli are very thin. Fine, that's why simple squamous. Now, simple squamous tissues, they are flat and very thin. That's why they are present in such type of delicate organs. Blood vessels wall is very thin, so there they are present. Kidney, urinary tubules, they are also very thin walled. So wherever the skin is very thin, so there simple squamous epithelium tissues are present. Now you have to learn about their locations as well as their functions. Okay. Now next is stratified squamous epithelium. So this forms the epidermis of the skin. Now this stratified is present in the epidermis, means our outer layer of our skin. Outer layer of our skin is made of stratified squamous epithelium. So this epithelium is also present in the buccal cavity. Buccal cavity is our mouth cavity, oral cavity, where the teeth are present. Then esophagus, anal canal, anus, which is a part of digestive system. Okay. Then pharynx is a part which is present in digestive system as well as in the respiratory system. So there these stratified squamous epithelium tissues are present. Remember students, you have to learn the locations where they are present. Okay. Now what is the function of this squamous epithelium tissues? It provides a protection to the underlying parts against mechanical injury. Means the first function is to provide protection to all the parts where they are present. It also helps in exchange of gases. Second function is exchange of gases. As they are thin cells, so gases can be exchanged properly. Then they help in excretion because they are present in the anus part, so they help in excretion also. And when they are present in the outer layer of skin, so sweat is secreted outside from the skin, so they help in excretion also. And then secretion of coelomic fluid. Okay, they are present in the coelom, in the internal parts of the body also, so there they help in secretion. Some of the important substances are secreted by these cells also. So these are some of the functions. The main function is protection, exchange of gases, excretion, and secretion. Fine. So like in short, if you want to write, you can write like this. So this is the first type of epithelial tissue, that is squamous epithelium, which is again becomes two in types. One is simple squamous, means when it is single layered, and if it is multi-layered, then it is called stratified squamous epithelium. Now let's move on to the next type of epithelium cells, that is cuboidal epithelium. Now as the name only suggests, cuboidal means the shape is like a cuboid. Okay. So it consists of cube like cells which are about as tall as wide. Fine. Means each side is like a cube. Fine. Each cell is like a cube and they are as tall as they are wide, means tall length and breadth are same. Okay, like in cube all the sides are squares, so it looks like cube like cells. The cells look like cube. Okay. Now occurrence, where they are present, these line the small salivary duct. They are present in the salivary duct, in the pancreas, then sweat glands, then salivary glands, thyroid glands, means all the glands, ovaries also a gland. Okay, so all the types of glands which are present, glands are the special cells which secrete something. Okay, so all the ducts, the salivary duct, pancreatic duct, sweat glands, salivary glands, they all have their lining made up of cuboidal epithelium. So what is the function now? We can guess the function, that function of each epithelium is one function is protection only. So without thinking you can write protection. Then second is secretion, as they are present in all the glands and glands secrete the substances. So secretion is the function. Then third function is absorption, as they can absorb something. Then excretion and gamete formation. So they are present in the reproductive cells also. So gamete formation, they are present in the reproductive organs also. Fine. So cuboidal epithelium. Okay, cube like cells, their main function is secretion, protection, excretion, and they are present in all the types of glands present in our body. Fine. And this is the diagram. You can see the cells here, they look, all the tallness and the width, they look similar. Okay, so this is cuboidal epithelium. You can see the nucleus here, then there is a basement membrane here, and along on the sides of the nucleus there is cytoplasm present in the cells. Fine. Now the next is columnar epithelium. Now, columnar epithelium, as the name only suggests, that the cells look like column. Like column means tall cells, pillar like. Okay, so pillar like means it forms a column. So that's why the name is given columnar epithelium. You can see here that the cells are so much tall like this. Okay, the nuclei are generally elongated because the cells are also very long. So nucleus is also elongated, means nucleus is also long. Now, where they are present in the stomach part, intestine, and gallbladder. Okay, stomach, intestine, and gallbladder. You have to learn the locations. Okay, then what is the function? Now, see again, first function of each epithelial tissue is protection. Then, because they are present in stomach, so absorption is the function, food is absorbed here, and secretion also. Okay, so you can see here, you might have noticed that the functions are common to all: protection, absorption, secretion, excretion. So these are some of the basic functions of the epithelial cells. Now, the next one is ciliated epithelium. Now, the word cilia means, now here you can see the diagram that on the cells, some hair like structures are present. So, these hair like fibers which are present on the cells, they are called cilia. So cilia are the fine vibratile cytoplasmic thread-like structures. Okay, thread-like structures. So these are called the cilia. Now where they are present? These are present in the urinary tubules of kidney. In the kidney, these type of cells are found. Then in the sperm ducts, okay, in the male reproductive organs. Then nasal passages in the nostrils, in our nasal passage, the space in between the nose. Okay, so there you can see these type of cells. Then oviducts in the female reproductive organs also, then in the brain also such type, and in the terminal bronchioles. Bronchiole is the part of the trachea which is present in the lungs. Okay, so there they are present. Now, what is the function? They help in the movement of mucus. Like whenever they are present in the nasal passage and the nose, in the nose, some mucus is secreted, some liquid is secreted, right? So to pass on that liquid from one place to another. So these cilia will help, no? These cilia, these hair like will help in the movement of the substances. Okay. So, in the movement of mucus, in the movement of urine, because they are present in kidneys, and kidney produce the urine. So, in the passage of urine, then eggs, sperms, they are produced in the female reproductive organ, and sperms are produced in male reproductive organs. So, in the movement of these cells, these cilia are helpful. That's why in these organs, these ciliated epithelial cells are present. Okay. So ciliated, how you will identify ciliated epithelium? Because some thread-like fibers are present on the cells which are called cilia. That's why the name is given ciliated columnar epithelium. One is simple columnar where cilia is not present, and this is ciliated columnar epithelial cells, you can say. Okay, cells are column-like, but they have threads present on them. Now, next one is glandular epithelium. Now, glandular epithelium means the cells in this tissue have changed to glands. Now, glands are the special cells which secrete something. Fine. So, some of the cells in this tissue, they are secreting some substances. Now, these consist of columnar cells. Cells are column-like only, but they are modified to secrete chemicals. Okay, they will release some type of chemicals. That's why they are called glandular epithelium. Now, where they are present, they line the glands such as gastric glands. So, such type of cells which can secrete something, they are present in the gastric glands, means in the stomach part, in the pancreas. Okay, because these all organs, they are secreting some substances. Acid is secreted in the stomach. Okay, in the pancreas, hormones are secreted, insulin is secreted. So, these type of cells which can secrete something, they are present in these internal organs. So this is glandular epithelium. Okay. So five we have studied: squamous epithelium, then columnar epithelium, cuboidal epithelium, ciliated epithelium, and then glandular epithelium. So these are the different types of epithelium cells which are differentiated on the basis of the shape of the cells and on the basis of their functions also. Okay. So this is all about the epithelium tissue. Now we'll start with the muscle tissues, which is also called muscular tissues. Okay. Now these consist of long narrow muscle cells. So in the muscle tissues definitely we have muscle cells, but these cells are long and narrow. Long and narrow cells are present in the muscle tissues. Now, cells are elongated in structure and therefore they are called the muscle fibers, because we are saying that the cells are long and narrow. So, instead of using the word muscle cells, we are calling them muscle fibers, because fiber shape is long and narrow only. Fibers are long and narrow thread like structures. So, here the cells are also long and narrow. So, we are calling them as muscle fibers. It contains one or more nuclei. Now, in the muscle cells, in the muscle fibers, they have either one nucleus or more than one nucleus in the cell. This is important. This is very special thing about muscle cells, that they have one nuclei or more than one nuclei also present sometimes in the cells. Now they are arranged in parallel manner. Generally, all the muscle fibers are arranged parallelly to each other. You can see here in the diagrams how the cells are arranged parallel to each other. Okay, so this is also one characteristic feature of muscle tissues. Then muscles play a role in the movement of heart, flow of blood, etc. All the movements in our body or in other animals' body is possible due to the muscles. And when we say muscles, then we are definitely talking about the muscle fibers or the muscle cells. So, muscles always help in the movement of the body. Now, let us see the classification of muscle tissues. Now, these muscle tissues are made up of three types. One is striated muscle, then unstriated muscle, and the third one is cardiac muscles. So, these three different types of muscles, fiber, or muscle cells we have to study. Now, striated muscles are also known as skeletal muscles. Okay, striated muscles are also called skeletal muscles or voluntary muscles. So, three names are there: striated muscles, or you can say skeletal muscles, or you can say voluntary muscles. Unstriated, the other name is smooth muscles or voluntary muscles. So, each muscle has three names, right? Unstriated muscle, or you can say smooth muscles, or you can say voluntary muscles. And then third category is cardiac muscles. Cardiac muscle has no other name, it is cardiac muscle only. Okay. So now let us study one by one these types of muscle cells. So first one is striated muscle, which is also called the skeletal muscle. Do you know, children, why it could be called as skeletal muscle? You know what is skeleton? Skeleton is the framework of bones present in our body. The complete bones which are present in the body, they make a framework which is called skeleton, right? So these muscles are called skeletal muscles because they are attached to the bones. Okay. So now these skeletal muscles or striated muscles, they form more than 80% of the mass of the soft tissues of vertebrate body. Means in our body 80% of the muscles which are present, they are striated muscles. Out of all the muscles which are present in the body, 80% are striated muscles, or you can say skeletal muscles. Now why the name skeletal is given here? Because they are attached to the bones. Fine, these muscles are found attached with the bones. That's why the name is called skeletal muscles. And the tissue by which the muscles are attached to the bones. Now, there should be something which can attach the muscles with the bones. So, that substance which attach the bones and the muscles is called the tendons. We'll study later about it. Tendons. Fine. So, tendon is that connective tissue which attach the bones with the muscles. And these muscles help in the movement of the external body parts like our hands and legs. They all can move because of these skeletal muscles, and so they are called the skeletal muscles. Okay, so these are attached to the bones and they help in the movement. Now the contraction and relaxation of the muscles are under the control of the animal. Now when we have to move these muscles, it's under our control. Fine. Now, if I want to move my hand, then only I will move. If I want to walk, then only I will walk. So, these muscles, these striated muscles, or you can say these skeletal muscles, they all are under our control. That's why these muscles are called voluntary muscles. Okay, voluntary means by our own will. Okay, as in the school sometimes we say na, you come out voluntarily, means you come out by your own will, if you want by your own. So these are called voluntary muscles because they are under our control. If we want, then they will work, otherwise they will not work. Okay, so they are under our control. We can move these muscles by our own will. Okay, so they are called voluntary muscles. Now the muscle fibers show dark and light strips. Now why the word striated is used here? Striation means dark and light color bands. So these muscles have, you can see in the picture here, that there are some dark lines present and in between there is light part, then again dark band. So they are called the dark and the light strips which are present on them. And these strips are called striations. That's why the name is given striated muscles. Okay, so these skeletal muscles, they have dark and light color bands present on them. That's why the name is given striated muscles. Fine. So this is all about striated muscles. Now let's study about structure. So they consist of long, narrow, cylindrical, unbranched fibers. So you can see here these cells are long, they are narrow, they are cylindrical in shape, then they are unbranched. Remember, this is unbranched fibers. They do not have branches. Fine. With blunt ends, and all the ends are blunt. Blunt means like this. This should be the shape of the cell. And they have some dark and light color bands present on them. Such bands are shown here, right? These are called striations. And that's why the name is given striated muscles. Okay. Now, what is the function? Because they are attached to the bones, so they help in movement of the body parts and locomotion. Locomotion means change in place. So animals can change their place. They can move from one place to another. That means animals can locomote. So these muscles help in movement. Movement can be at one place also. See, if I am waving my hand, this is also called movement. Fine. Like plants also can show movement. They can bend their leaves, they can bend their branches like this. But plants cannot show locomotion. Locomotion means the movement in which the place changes. Now, plants cannot change their place, but animals can. So, animals can show movement as well as locomotion. Now, they also help in voluntary movement of the body. Fine. Whenever the body wants to move, whenever the body wants to run, walk, stop, everything is possible only because of skeletal muscles, or you can say striated muscles, or you can say voluntary muscles because they are under our control. Now, the next is unstriated muscles, which are also called smooth muscles, or which are also called involuntary muscles. Now, these are smooth muscles. Like striated muscles have bands present on them. So, here those bands are absent. That's why they are called the smooth muscles. They do not have striations, they do not have dark and light color bands. That's why they are also called the smooth muscles or unstriated. Unstriated means there are no striations, no bands present on it. Okay. So they are smooth as they do not have strips across muscle fibers. They do not have those dark and light strips present on them. It is spindle shaped. Generally, the shape of these cells are spindle shaped. Now, this is the spindle shape, children. This is the spindle shape. Okay, you can see here in the diagram also. This spindle shaped cells. Occurrence. Now, where they are present, they occur within walls of hollow visceral organs. Means they are present in our internal organs. Fine, in our internal organs, like in the walls of the alimentary canal, in our reproductive organs, in the ducts through which the hormones are passed, then in the blood vessels, urinary bladders. These are all the internal organs which are present inside, deep inside the body. So these smooth muscles, they are not present near our skin or attached to the bones, but they are present in the walls of the internal organs. That's why they are smooth. Internal organs are very smooth and very delicate. So such type of muscles are found in the internal organs. Now what is the function? They are involuntary. Involuntary means they are not under our control, as they do not work according to our will. Means we cannot control them. So contraction and relaxation is rhythmic, and these muscles, they continuously do contraction and relaxation. Now in the alimentary canal, in the esophagus, in the food pipe, how the food passes, now those muscles are not in our control. Can we control the muscles of our stomach? No. Can we control the muscles of our lungs? No. They all are working by their own. They all are moving by their own. They all are contracting, relaxing by their own. That's why they are involuntary muscles. They are not under our control. We cannot stop them or we cannot start them. Okay. So these are the smooth muscles or unstraightened muscles, or you can say involuntary muscles, which are present in the internal organs. Now, the third type is cardiac muscles. Cardiac word whenever comes means related to heart. So cardiac muscles are those muscles which are connected to the heart or which makes the heart. So these muscles are short cylindrical fibers. You can see the picture here. They are short and cylindrical and branched also. Now you can see here branches. See, this is the branch which is separated. So they are branched and joined end to end to form a network. Okay, so these branches are joined from one end to another end, they make a network sort of connection. Fine, so they are short, they are cylindrical, they are branched, and they make a network. Cardiac muscle is an example of involuntary muscle. Cardiac muscles are also involuntary in nature. That means these muscles are also not in our control. We cannot control the muscles of our heart, right? So, where they are present in the walls of the heart, pulmonary veins, and superior vena cava. These are those veins and arteries. These are those veins which are connected to the heart. Fine, which brings blood to the heart or which carries the blood away from the heart. Fine. Now, functions is again contraction and relaxation of the cardiac muscles. They help in the contraction and relaxation of the heart. Heart also shows the movement. One time heart contracts and then relax. Contract means the muscles will come closer and relax means the muscle will go away from each other. This is contraction and relaxation. And it also helps in the pumping of the blood. So when heart will contract, naturally the blood will be pumped outside in the blood vessels. Okay. So these all functions are under the control of cardiac muscles, and cardiac muscles are not under our control. They are involuntary. Okay. So I think these three types of muscles are clear to you all. Now let's see the difference between voluntary muscles and involuntary muscles. So voluntary muscles are the muscles which work at our will, okay, which are under our control. And involuntary are those which do not work at our will, means they are working by their own. Now voluntary muscles, they get tired and need rest. Okay, you see that when we run a lot someday, if you are running a lot or if you have exercised more, then your muscles get tired, you feel tired and you need rest. So these muscles, they get tired and they need rest, but involuntary muscles, they do not get tired and they continuously work, like muscles of our heart. So those muscles cannot stop functioning. They always do the work 24 into 7. They are doing the work and they do not get tired. Okay, examples in voluntary are muscles attached to arms and legs, and involuntary means muscles which are attached to stomach, heart, intestine. They all are involuntary, they all are functioning by their own, they are not in our control. Okay, now let's see the difference between striated, non-striated, and cardiac muscles. These three we have studied. Fine. So now you can see that striated muscles, they are voluntary in nature because they are under our control. Non-striated, they are involuntary in nature, means they are not in our control because they are present in the internal organs, and internal organs are not in our control. Then cardiac muscles, they are also involuntary, they are not in our control because they are present in the heart. Then striated muscles, they are mostly attached to the bones. Okay, striated or skeletal muscles, they are attached to the bones and they help in movement. Whereas non-striated, they are mostly present in the alimentary canal, uterus, etc. Okay, they are present in the internal organs. And cardiac muscles, they are present in the heart. Fine. Now, striated muscles are also called skeletal muscles. Non-striated muscles are also called smooth muscles. And cardiac muscles are called cardiac muscles only, no other name. Then striated muscles, they have alternate light and dark bands. They have light and dark bands present on them. Non-striated, they do not have any such kind of bands present on them. And cardiac muscles also show these striations, means dark and light color bands are present in cardiac muscles also. Like in striated muscles have dark and light bands, cardiac muscles also have dark and light bands. Now, in striated muscles, the cells are long, cylindrical, unbranched, okay, and having many nuclei. One cell has more than one nuclei in striated muscles, whereas in non-striated cells are long with pointed ends, means spindle shaped, and they have a single nucleus. So this is main difference here, okay. Striated muscles, they have many nucleus present in one cell. Non-striated, they have one nucleus present. And in case of cardiac muscles, the cells are long branched cells and have nuclei, okay, a single nuclei. Then striated muscles, they are present in the limbs. Limbs means hands and legs, eyelids, okay, which are under our control. And non-striated, they are present in the iris of the eye. Iris means internal part of the eye. Then uterus, then bronchi, okay, all are internal organs. Then cardiac muscles, they are present in the heart. Presence of intercalated disc is the characteristic feature of cardiac muscle. They are present in the heart and they have striations present on them. Okay, so these are some of the differences between striated, non-striated and cardiac muscles. So student, this topic is important because this difference generally comes in exam. Differentiate between these three. So you must at least learn 6 points out of these seven. Okay, the question can be of 3 marks sometimes. So 6 points you must know. Okay, so let us summarize now what we have done today. So we have seen the animal tissues. Okay, in the animal tissues, we have completed epithelial tissues along with its 5 types. Okay, squamous epithelium, stratified, then columnar, ciliated, and then glandular. So 5 different types of epithelial tissues we have seen. Then muscular tissues. In muscular tissues, there are 3 different types of cells found: striated muscles, smooth muscles, and cardiac muscles. Fine. So this we have done today. Now in the next video session, we will cover the connective tissue and nervous tissue. Now these two are also types of animal tissues. Okay, so till then, all of you, please read the lesson, do complete your notebooks, and we'll meet with the next topic in the next session. Goodbye, everyone.